there, which is super boring.
There'll be foot traffic.
All right, welcome. It is now 7:33. We're going to kick things off, and Abby is going to go over our Zoom protocol.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. Good evening, everyone. I have a few housekeeping items for the Zoom meeting. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast on the city's YouTube channel. Please remember to mute yourself during the meeting when you are not speaking. The chat function for this meeting is disabled. All chats will go directly to me. Unless you are participating during the meeting, please turn off your video. This allows the active meeting participants to be seen on the screen. You will still be able to hear the meeting. When you are participating, please turn your video on. If you have any trouble, you can send me a chat. The city reserves the right to mute people or turn individual videos off to minimize distractions during the meeting. Please remember to state your name each time you speak. for the benefit of those participating remotely. And now I'll turn the meeting back over to Daniel.
Great. Thank you, Abby. I'm Abby Smith, Chair of the Lawrence Cultural Arts Commission. I want to apologize in advance because I'm very sleepy. So if you see me yawning and stuff, that's why we have a long agenda. I usually promise that it's going to be short, and this time I make no promises. But I will kick things off by calling a roll. Marlo. Denise.
Here.
I saw a wave on Zoom. Mary.
Here. Can you see me?
Deena.
Present.
Marciana.
Present.
Rebekka. Jill.
Here. Joking, but here.
Sorry. Tim.
Present.
And Jordan is not present. And we actually received word that she's going to be resigning from her position with the Lawrence Cultural Arts Commission, which is unfortunate. She's been absent a little bit recently, but still sad to hear that. So our first order of business tonight will be approving the minutes, both the September minutes and the fall retreat minutes. I don't know if anybody's had time to go over those or has any concerns, but at this time, I would entertain motions to approve, starting with the September minutes.
Make a motion to approve the September minutes as written.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Yeah, thanks, Tim. Can I get a second?
I second.
This is Deena. I'll a second.
All right, great. We don't roll call for minutes, right?
I would.
Oh, you would?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, I think you're right. Marlo. Denise.
Yes.
Yes, I think your mic is quiet, Denise, and I'm not sure what the issue is.
Yeah, it's unmuted.
I can hear her fine.
Is it on? Is it something that I'm doing, Kurt? I'm sorry.
What is it that I need to do?
Please hold for technical difficulties.
You have the volume turned up.
It's at 80. Yes. I can hear on the headphones. Would it be the same as system? No. Oh, it's always one of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Hey, Denise.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, perfect. That's much better.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly now. So Denise, you voted in favor of approving the minutes?
Yes,
sir?
I did. Thanks.
All right, great. Thank you, Denise. Mary.
Approve.
Deena.
Approve.
Marciana.
Approve.
Jill.
Approve.
And Tim.
Approve.
All right, great. Fantastic. Thank you all. And then up next, we'll be looking to approve those fall retreat minutes. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve.
All right. Thank you, Denise. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mary. And we'll go through roll call once more. Marlo. Denise.
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
Deena.
Approve.
Marciana.
Approve.
Jill.
Approve.
And Tim.
Approve.
And then I will also approve. And that takes us through our approval of the minutes. Up next, we have our public comment section. I know originally we were going to have a public comment. I don't know if we still do. So if anybody's here in person or online, raise your hand or click a Zoom reaction.
It's for later for the thing. It's on the agenda already.
Okay, yeah, on the agenda. All right, seeing and hearing nobody for public comment, we will keep on zooming through this agenda. Move right on to new business, beginning with the review of a mural proposal for the People's Market Program submitted by Connie, who I see on Zoom. And hopefully everybody has had a chance to look over the proposal. I certainly have. So at this time, Connie, I don't know if you would want to speak a little bit about the proposal. And I don't know if anybody has any questions or concerns about that proposal.
This is Denise. I have some concerns.
Connie, were you wanting to present about the proposal first, or should the committee?
Yeah, I'll present first and maybe we can do questions later. Maybe
Okay.
they'll answer some of the questions as I present. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it. I will stop sharing.
Okay, thank you. One second. My Wi-Fi is a little bit slow. Okay. Going. Okay, maybe I'll go ahead and introduce myself first. My name is Fiorella Fitzpatrick. I am wearing 2 hats. I am a county staff, a Douglas County food systems specialist. So I staff the Douglas County Food Policy Council. And before I begin, I want to thank very much Abby and everyone for adding this item to the agenda. I truly appreciate your time. So I'll be as brief as I can. Okay, so and I am also the program manager for the People's Market program. As you can see, it is a pilot program from the Kansas Creative Art Industry Commission which is inspired by a report that was done by the Douglas County Food Policy Council that highlights the multicultural grocery stores in Lawrence, Kansas. And today, we're going to particularly look at the F-Mart Asian Market mural proposal. In November, I will be presenting on the rest of the markets. So this program is a 3-piece program. One, with the partnership of the small business, the Kansas Small Business Development Center, the Kansas Healthy Food Initiative, the county, and also Mr. Ferris from the city of Lawrence, we hosted an ethnic retail convening to gather all these retailers in a small economic development convening. We are also working on creating cooking demonstrations via video. And the last section of the project is for public arts to be installed at each of these locations. So this mural is to be installed at F-Mart, which is located on 6th and Colorado. It's the Asian market that is largely, it is a pretty large market. It does have milk and eggs and regular staples as well as multicultural staples. We are using Nova Color high quality paint and varnish. We have been in communications with the Pinckney neighborhood since the beginning of the year, so a little bit before March of this year. We hope to install this month if approved. The agreements are all done with the Kansas Creative Art Industry Commission, and the copyright will be remain to Emi Mauro, the artist, who is actually 3rd generation Lawrencian, but also is ethnic to and connected ethnically to this retailer. The only text that is located in the mural is LFK. And this is the market. And this is the proposed version of the finished mural. So Emi has collected stories by interviewing customers and neighbors around F-Mart, and also we have presented this to the Pinckney neighborhood. So these are folks' favorite foods. It has a little bit of KU in there, boba, of course, rice, and other dishes that are culturally specific to Asian cultures. Emi is working with her sister to install the mural. Emi has done a lot of design work and does professional work, including working for some design brands such as Target. Oh, I accidentally have, it's supposed to be Juna. Sorry, I accidentally put 2 of Emi. I apologize for that. This is Emmy's work. Very modern and colorful. Very food inspired by her heritage. Has done a lot of food work. And this is a letter from the Pinckney Neighborhood Association in support of the work. And I also added, I apologize today, the store owner's approval of the final mural design. Thank you. I will be happy to answer any questions now.
All right, great. Thank you, Connie. Denise, I believe you did have a question or a concern, so I'll let you go ahead and kick things off, and then we'll see if anybody else has anything they want to contribute.
Okay, thank you. I do have a list that I created that the mural application doesn't really quite meet the minimum submission requirement for a mural. So that form is available online.
Connie, would you mind muting your mic?
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. All right, let's try this again, Denise.
Okay, there are two forms for submitting information about a mural, and the first one is general overview, but there's a second one that says the minimum submission requirements need to be listed. And there are a couple of things that need to be listed, such as the historical cultural context of the site and of the neighborhood, the artist's biography, and I had also listed with the agreement, but I see that's now been satisfied. The other issue that I had was that the timeline did not seem to be feasible in terms of completion of the mural. I think it was going to take more than 1 to 2 days to complete that mural. That's a fairly large space to cover with all of those, with the imagery and the background. I'm concerned about the timeline. I mean, I love the vastness of that mural, and I love where it's going to be located, and I love the idea. But these other issues need to be addressed, especially the historical cultural context. You know, how does this fit in with the neighborhood? Because
Maybe Smith, Connie, in the proposal, it says there's that 1 to 2 day time frame, but could you maybe give some input as far as, I mean, how many people are going to be doing it? Is Emmy going to be doing it by themselves or with their sibling, or is there more of a team?
Yeah, it's a 7-people crew. So we're on a timeline, and I'm also going to be hands-on working with them. And 2 days is the goal. I mean, yes. So I think we can do it.
Yeah. My name is Denise. I would like to see that timeline, to be honest, and have more specificity about the participants. And I would also like to see the artist's bio and attention to the historical cultural context that is the Pinckney neighborhood and how this will fit in.
Yes, I believe the historical context is addressed with the Pinckney letter, and I believe Sean was to be in attendance to talk about that too, but I'm not sure why he's not here right now.
Sean is here.
Sean,
Can
could
I say something first?
Could you help us out?
Yes. Is this mic on right here? No. Okay, I can go somewhere.
It is now.
It is now. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Shane Hyman, the president of the Pinckney Neighborhood Association. Connie came to present us at our March meeting, and it was overwhelmingly unanimous that we accept this proposal as part of our neighborhood association and as part of the community. We do see that it is in context with our community and our neighborhood because the market is in the Pinckney neighborhood. So even if it was there 5 years, 10 years, that's still part of our neighborhood. And so we felt like it was more than, in fact, we were thrilled that this piece was going to go in our neighborhood. So definitely have the full backing. Of course, it's in our letter as well that it was unanimous who was in attendance at that March meeting.
Hi, this is Denise, and I appreciate that information. However, in terms of that application, it needs to be in the application. Agreement of the neighborhood is different than addressing the historical cultural context of the neighborhood.
This is Marlo. Daniel, is that something that Connie could reflect upon the statements in the letter and just make that addendum?
Deena B. Smith, yeah, I'm not sure how much input everyone else wants to have. I'd like to personally say that I think the mural design is fantastic. I also love F-Mart. I feel like it's a real good fit. But I do think that we could, considering the timeline is an issue and that, the weather could impact the ability to get the mural done. I think it would certainly make sense that we could give our approval tonight, requisite on Connie adding a little bit of more contextual information about the history of the site and a little bit more on that, and then also outlining the full number of people who are going to be involved, just to make the feasibility seem a little bit more specific. But I would personally be in favor of us approving it conditionally with those updates being amended and then probably sent back to us, but not making them wait another month for us to go through the process.
I'd like to add something also. This is Deena, Amont, and I agree with Denise's points that it's important for us to hold to the requirements of the application process. I will say also that Emmy was one of my students at Lawrence High School. I'm going to guess approximately 10 years ago. And she was an amazing, wonderful student back then. I've kind of followed her. Didn't realize that she was doing this proposal just now, but I've kind of followed her throughout the years. She is very committed to doing artwork that fosters and advances her own Japanese American heritage, and this is one example of that. And I know that we have heard proposals about the art going into the different ethnic markets in the neighborhood, and I think in a general way, we kind of approved that concept before. So I would say that although I do agree that perhaps there are some parts of the proposal form that maybe need to be added to a little bit more, that I would definitely support going forward with it, because I know her work ethic, I know her artwork for so many years, and I think it's a great proposal, and the neighborhood is in support of the proposal. And in general, we supported it in terms of getting the artwork on the ethnic markets in the community. So I would be in favor of going ahead and approving it as well.
Deena B. Smith. Well, unless anybody else has any other points they'd like to make, I think I could entertain. Oh, Tim, yeah, go ahead.
I have a couple of quick questions. The last mural proposal that we looked at, we declined. There was discussion about creating a sign ordinance, and I don't understand the interplay with murals and the sign ordinance. But if it was going to apply to that particular project, does it also apply to this project? And are there traps that need to be run through the sign ordinance process? I mean, I really don't know the answer. I'm just dumb question. I don't know. But I also have to agree that the timeline seems completely untenable, and that can be fixed. easily enough, right? But I just don't see that there's any way that 7 people can do that in 2 days. I mean, I think it'll take a day just to map it out. So, I think I understand the need to want to hurry to do it, and I'm in favor of it. I just want to say I'm in favor, but I kind of like to make sure, I don't want us to get into the habit of ignoring requirements in the program, because once you ignore an application requirement in the program, then it becomes more difficult on subsequent applications to say, hey, you need to follow the requirements of the program, right? So I agree. I think the application needs to be bolstered a bit. I'd kind of like to know if we have issues with sign ordinance, and I'd like to see some revision on that timeline, because I just don't think they can do it in that time frame, even if they're superheroes.
Marlo, Connie, if you were not to finish it in 1 to 2 days, what is the plan B?
Finish it as soon as we can. We hope to be done this month for sure. Yes, I know I'm not a superhero, but I have definitely finished a mural about the same size in a weekend.
This is Mary. I think the last time, to piggyback on your question, Tim, the last time we were talking about the sign ordinance, it was because there was language in the mural presentation, and I don't know if LFK
Is enough.
and again, that's a sign that I don't know where we would stand with that.
Good question, though.
Oh.
You could have a motion when you get there that is, as long as it's contingent with the sign ordinance, and staff can follow up, make sure that it meets your requirements.
TLB Smith, I'll admit that I'm also not an expert in the sign ordinance, but I do recall last time it came up, I think it had something to do with the size of the letters that were involved. But yeah, in the same way that we can vote to approve tonight contingent on Connie bolstering timeline, staffing, and the contextual parts of the application, we can also include a mention that if the city finds an issue with this, as far as the sign ordinance, that would also be something worth considering. And going forward, it would make sense for us to become a little bit better versed in that. Maybe we'll have a special guest one of these months when we don't have so much on our plate to educate us.
That's a great idea, Daniel, and I can do the research behind this and get it out to you guys as soon as possible.
This is Marlo. I just wanted to echo how wonderful I think this project is. It kind of gives me a happy feeling, like when I see that Van Gogh mural that celebrates restaurant workers. It has something that celebrates our ethnic markets, which are so important to the community. It ties in art and health and all these wonderful confluences. I think it really celebrates Lawrence, and it's an excellent addition to the community.
TLB Smith, yeah, I agree. I really, really appreciate this specific design, and I also appreciate Connie coming previously to talk about the entire project. Can't remember specifically when that was, but Deena sort of alluded to the fact that this is not the first time we've heard about this, so I'm happy to see it going forward. So I have nothing else to add. If anybody else has any questions or concerns, go ahead. And if not, I think with the specific contingencies that we've outlined, I think I would be in favor of trying to get this ball rolling.
I'd make a motion to approve with those addendums, with the timeline and the what's the other?
Sign ordinance.
Yes. I'll second.
All right, great. Thank you both. Thank you, Jill, for seconding. We will go ahead and do a roll call vote. Marlo. Denise.
Yes.
Mary.
Approve.
Deena.
Approve.
Marciana.
Approve.
Jill.
Approve.
And Tim.
Approve.
And I will vote to approve as well, which means that the project will be able to go forward. And Connie, if you could do us a favor of sending us the amended proposal once you do have a little more information about the historical context, sort of reflecting on that letter from the neighborhood association and the staffing, and maybe give yourself another day on the timeline. We would love to see that.
Okay, thank you all so much for your time and making this go forward. I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Yeah,
will
thank
be
you for being here, and thanks to Shane, who also came to speak his
Shane.
opinion.
And you can send that to me, Connie, at A Wilder.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. I will do that.
You got it.
All right, Shane.
All right, DLB Smith here. Next, we will go on to item B in new business, which is revisiting the letter which we discussed at the fall retreat. So I think I'm actually not sure. Has the letter been shared to all members? So what? So you've potentially seen the letter, but I would give Mary and Marlo an opportunity to speak to it a little bit since they are the authors, and then we can consider whether we want to send this thing to the city commission.
Mary and I worked on this week, and it's issues that we've been talking about for quite some time. And I think our key points were to use this opportunity and timing to educate the City Commission on some of the historical things that have happened with our funding throughout the years. In 2019, our funding changed from the general fund to the TGT fund. And as we all know, there was a global pandemic that made that funding source really problematic because it fluctuated. And we identified that problem before it came, before we knew if a pandemic was coming. We didn't think that was our mission as a organization. We are here to celebrate and to serve the residents of Lawrence, not bring visitors here. So we thought that TGT didn't match our mission goal. So the general fund seems like that is something the city embraces year after year. And so we wanted to be put back into that goal or to that pot of money. We also felt that we are at a dearth of not having a director position anymore. That was something that was founded in 2014. We value that role, and we feel like we are on the same standing as sustainability, which has a director level position. And we feel like not having that knowledge base, which has not only arts administration as an experience level, but just connections outside of Lawrence and in the national scene, the national trends in the arts was really important. So those were kind of our key things. We also recognize that we have lost 3 years of funding because of this pandemic, and partial due to the TGT funding. But I think there was also just some lag time that was not great for us and for the community of Lawrence. And we would love to make that up. We have 3 years lost. I kind of did a little bit of research for similar sized communities that receive municipal funding. I couldn't find a single city that paused for 3 years. We did. People paused for 1 year during the pandemic and then came back the following year. And the fact that we've lost 3 years of our community arts grants and the Phoenix Awards and had a very reduced outdoor sculpture exhibition is inexcusable. So we wanted to create this letter to, bring new people. We've had new commission members now in this room and on the city commission, bring them up to speed on the status of where we are and some ideas for how we might make up some lost ground. Mary, did you have anything to add to that?
I think you summarized it beautifully.
Yeah, thank you.
DLB Smith, well, I read the letter and first of all, I think it's very well written, but also I really approve of the way it's structured. I know that this letter is discussing the TGT funding and as well as other issues, including the desire to have a full-time staff position. But I think it does a good job of not making those things intertwined to the point where it's all or nothing. I think it's broken down so that it's like, this and then this and then this. So the city commission could potentially consider moving forward on one of those things. And then some of the other ones can be further down the road. I think the full-time director position is more likely to take a bit more time than potentially some of the other things, which I really appreciated. So that's my opinion. I don't know if anybody else has any other opinions, but I'm personally happy to put my name on it.
I think it's well done. Thank you, both of you.
I agree. Deena, Amont, I think it's well done as well. Thank you.
DLB Smith, well, hearing no further discussion, as I said, I'm more than happy to see this sent over to the city commission. I'm more than happy to have my name on it. So at this point, I'll be entertaining a motion to do just that.
This is Tim. I move that we proceed with submission of the letter to the city commission about funding and oversight issues and to authorize Daniel to sign that letter.
And this is Deena Amont. I second that.
TLB Smith, thank you both. To be clear, I think we'd all technically be signing. It's not just me, but yeah.
On behalf of the organization.
So at this point, I will go ahead and do a roll call vote, starting with Marlo. Denise?
Yes.
Mary?
Approve.
Deena?
Approve.
Marciana?
Approve.
Jill had to step out. Tim?
Approve.
And finally, myself, I shall approve. And so it passes, and we'll go on to our friends on the city commission. And that we discussed potentially following up that submission with potentially presenting and having some conversations. So there will be more on this, but I think we're at a really good place. I think the letter is a really good start to try and lobby for ourselves a little bit.
Marlo, Abby, what is the process? Like, do we know how we would submit this? You know, we mentioned signing, like how do we do this?
As I'm new to this role, I will research this and get back to you with a concrete example of the process, and potentially working with Porter to guide me in that. But I'm assuming it would be a step-by-step process of, you know, this is drafting, and then we would probably do another formal version of this where everyone can look over it and like approve it, and then we sign, and then and that's the part that I'll need to check on.
This is Mary, since we've already voted to approve it and given Daniel the approval to sign it, I would think it would be sufficient for him to sign on behalf of the commission and just move it forward rather than bouncing backwards and forwards again.
Sure. Yes, absolutely. and so I'll check on that on the step of getting it to.
I think it would be worth getting Jill's vote so that way you can say it was unanimous. It's just a little thing.
Sure.
She's gonna vote yes.
TLB Smith. Yeah. I mean, we have some other members who aren't here. We could potentially try and get some follow-up input from Rebekka and Jill. But I do think I think unless they have objections, I don't see a need to consider this a draft. I think sometimes the first draft can be the final draft.
Yeah.
So we'll touch base with Rebekka and Jill, who unfortunately had to leave because they weren't feeling well, and then try and get this moving along quickly, because that's how we like to do things.
And I would think too, possibly it would be a city manager's report, because it really wouldn't be a consent, because I think the commission would want to talk about it. But I'm not sure it'd be a work session city commission item. So I think it was on the city manager's report. We have a letter from LCAC, then that could be the discussion for the city commission. And Porter's probably going to be, Sherry Reedman are probably going to be a little better, and that maybe the city manager on how he wants to do with the city commission. So.
Yeah. And like you were saying during the fall retreat, you know, this is something that you've done before. And so I'll probably just tap Porter's shoulder and ask for a walkthrough of how that went, and try to recreate that as best as I can.
DMB Smith. So the next item we have on our agenda under new business is actually revisiting the potential recommendation to the city to hire a full-time staff. That is included in the letter. So I think we can go ahead and move on. Feel free to yell at me if for some reason you want to talk about it more. The next item is revisiting the budget, which was one of the things we discussed at length at the staff retreat. And I assume that it's behind me. Yes, it is. It's on the screen. So I know during the retreat, we looked at the budget and we wanted to try and get some updates on how much was left in the different program areas. And I don't have an answer to that question, but maybe somebody else does.
Yeah, I asked Porter the questions that we rose during the retreat, which is, you know, how much of the budget is left? How much do we still have to work with? And how do we go about rolling over those funds from 2022 to, you know, our 2023 budget, and how does, you know, what does that look like? And Porter said the answer, to how much of it do we still have it? He said it's basically all of it. We used about $500 of outdoor downtown sculpture exhibition / TGT funds to help with the Arts plus Culture plus downtown plus crossing program. And because the funds were slow to recover in the beginning of 2020 and TGT funds were not yet available, we held on to most of it, implementing the community arts grant program, the ODSE and the Phoenix Awards, which were delayed by the transition process. He also says all of the LCAC funds are derived from the transient guest tax fund, and the TGT fund is supported by the hotel occupancy tax. And during COVID, the fund was decimated, but has been recovering well, mostly in 2022. Additionally, budgeted funds from the TGT fund cannot be spent unless the money is actually going in the fund. And reporting is always 1 quarter behind because we don't receive funds until after they go through the state system. During the pandemic, we canceled LCAC programs due to lack of funds. In 2021, we were able to implement a reduced version of the Outdoor Downtown Sculpture Exhibition program, which coincided with the Kansas Creative Arts Industries Arts plus Culture plus Crossing grant / program that we received. And while and his suggested were plans in 2023, well, funds are currently available for these programs now because they have to be spent in the calendar year and time is limited. Porter recommend to the LCAC in July or August that they should ask staff to submit a budget adjustment request to finance to roll TGT funds from the LCAC program to 2023. Okay, and that would be my submitting the request. And then his answer to how do we go about rolling over those funds. He gave me the contact information on that. And I just go and ask my questions there, and I can absolutely go do that. And unless we make a significant change to our budget, we don't need to announce any restructuring of the budget. We basically have the power in terms of the categories that we have in this budget. And we'll need to determine whether or not we consider a major change, major enough to be announced on a case-by-case basis. And if there was a significant reallocation, like if we were to scrap an entire program and allocate all of that funding to something else, we may need to go to the City Commission for approval. But if it's just adjusting within categories, we basically have the power to do that. And if we have questions on that, I can go and ask the right people.
When do you ask for the extension?
July.
Yeah, it's in July. So
we should still be able to do that. So that goes for the City Commission. We give it Jeremy, and it's a budget adjustment. It gets presented to the City Commission. This is why. So we do budget adjustments quarterly, although we are running out of shopping days being October 12th.
Right. That was my question. Can we get these funds so we can start doing our programming?
Yeah.
I think we can.
Okay, so it looks to me, this is Mary. It looks to me like if we've spent $500 out of $49,000 and we're retaining $3,000 for the Phoenix Award, that would give us about $45,500 that I suggest we reallocate into community arts grants.
I agree with that.
Okay. I can start
So
communicating.
that may be able to be done internally since that's from your budget instead of taking from a different area. So yeah, I think you're right. That ain't go anywhere.
It's just the most effective way of getting money out to artists and arts organizations. So it just makes total sense to me.
Okay.
That's out of this year's budget,
Right.
not next year's budget. That's this year's budget.
Yeah, I can start communicating with finance on that tomorrow.
Deena Smith. So the only question mark I have is about the outdoor sculpture exhibition. I know that Porter said that we took out $500 for the Arts Plus Culture Crossing, that program, but I feel like some of this funding actually did go to the outdoor sculpture exhibition. I can't remember off the top of my head remember what that number would have been.
Was it this year or was it the previous year?
That is a fantastic question.
There were
I
only,
feel like it was the previous
That was the previous year?
yes.
Trump, but that's my recollection.
I mean, I am terrible at remembering specific chronology. And
Because there were only 3 pieces that year, down from 9. So that budget was ripped
and no audio tour and no reception. We haven't had any of those for those. And those pieces were great. That would be wonderful to, I don't know, I think they're still there just to celebrate them in some way with this next group too.
Okay, just so that I'm clear on exactly what I'm requesting, we want to take all of the funds from this year, the remainder of our budget, which is I'm not gonna.
We want to retain the
all of it.
3,000 for the Phoenix Awards, unless we want to put more money into the. So this would be our artist year for the Phoenix Awards. So this could be an opportunity to put more money in there if we want. But anything that we don't put in there, I think we should put into the community arts grants.
Do we have to decide that now if we wanted to put more money in Phoenix Awards, or that can be fluid? We said, oh, you know what, we could really use an extra 1,000 for these art pieces.
What I can do is I can request the remainder of our 2020 budget be rolled over to 2023. And I think the nuance of where we allocate what can be internal.
Sounds great.
Yeah. I appreciate your patience with me on this. This is a learning curve for me for sure.
Deena Smith, yeah, as we discussed at the retreat, if we roll over the remaining amount, we should be able to reallocate it between those programs as we see fit in the new year. So this sounds great. I think, I don't think this is something we need to vote on necessarily. Let me know if you think have a different opinion, but I think that we can have a goal of between now and our next meeting, confirming the rollover, confirming the amount, confirming the rollover, getting that process started so that we can make sure those funds are available for us in the new year. All right, hearing no complaints, I will move on to the next agenda item, which is discussing our subcommittees, which I think also might coincide with potentially looking at our calendar, our beautiful, colorful calendar.
Yes, I'm going to scroll way up to the agenda as we have the breakdown of the subcommittees. And I will share my screen momentarily. All right. So right here, number 5 is where we're at with the subcommittees. And I was going to invite Rebekka to join a subcommittee, although she is not here. Please let me know. This is what I have written down from our, when we went around during the retreat. If you see your name that's somewhere where it's not supposed to be, please let me know. So it'll just take a minute or two to look over that. Can everyone see that? Okay. I'm so sorry, Denise, you're muted. You're fine.
Sorry. This is Denise. I have a question about the public art ODSE. So can you give me some details about that?
So at the retreat, we basically decided that we wanted to stick with these 3 subcommittees, and the public art one was sort of encompassing mural applications as well as outdoor downtown sculpture exhibit. Those were the 2 main things in that, but I can see if something else comes up, in the realm of public art, that could also be something that you guys discuss. But it was my understanding it's mostly, needs of mural applications and the ODSE.
How does the TGT tax committee fit in?
Deena Smith, so that might be a question that is a little bit confusing. So the TGT committee, which you are our representative on that committee, is technically like a separate
okay.
body. That you're representing us on that body, but it's not within the function of the Cultural Arts Commission.
Okay.
Deena Smith, we do also, I'd like to say I appreciate you representing us in that capacity.
Sure. Are we supposed to be on 2 different committees then? Or are there enough members to divvy up across the different committees, subcommittees, that is.
Yeah, there's no requirement. We had kind of discussed at the retreat, you know, at least 3 members per committee would be best. We had several people sign up for 2. I mean, unless you all decide that you would like to put requirements on that, I don't think it's.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to check.
DLB Smith. So if nobody is seeing any subcommittee assignments that they disagree with or they don't recall, I think this is what we're going to go with. I do think we should try and touch base with Rebekka and see if she wants to be on any of these subcommittees. But at this point, it seems like we'll roll with these going forward. And so I think the most prudent thing for us to do is to just look at all 3 of these program areas the subcommittees are related to, and then see if there are pressing issues that would necessitate us scheduling some subcommittee meetings. I know that we had talked about wanting the subcommittees to meet at least once a quarter. So maybe we can try and figure out for each of these subcommittees approximately when would be best for them to meet in this quarter.
My suggestion, Marlo, would be to have them meet for the retreat. That way there can be a little bit of an update in January where things are each month.
DLB Smith, yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that if each of the subcommittees can meet at some point between now and the January retreat, that would be great. Some of them might meet with more urgency. It really depends on just how those programs are progressing. So I do think this is really the time in the agenda as well when we can look over the calendar and start talking about how all these programs are going to start rolling out. At the retreat, we did sort of talk about each program, and for each of them, there's some sort of immediate action steps that we want to start taking. So if
I'm pulling that up and it squished it, and I'm so sorry. This bothers me the way that it looks. So if this is probably so hard for you to see, Denise, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna make it as big as I can.
I do have the copy from our retreat.
Wonderful.
So I'm fine. Thank you.
Yeah. And I can clarify on some of this. This is sort of a rough, line as to quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4.
DLB Smith. So correct me if I'm wrong, Abby, but the guidelines for the community arts grants are to be published the day after this meeting.
Yeah.
And at this point in time, it would be prudent for us to decide on the actual date for us to open the community arts grants.
Yep.
I think it'd be lovely if we could decide that in this meeting and get things rolling.
That's the deadline. Yeah.
So this is Mary. I'm confused. So will we have one session or 2 sessions so that the community arts grant program that we're talking about, inviting people to submit for immediately, what time period does that cover? And then what time period would next year's cover? Have we decided that?
No, I mean, we've decided that we want to push back the dates and make sure everything is started as early as we can. But we haven't actually set dates.
So would the monies from this year and the monies from next year be put into one pot and we would have one submittal period? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think that's something that we can decide tonight for sure based on what we want to do with the budget. That's sort of what logically makes sense, unless we decide to do something otherwise.
DLB Smith, yeah, I think this is a situation where we get to choose. And so if we're going to have the community art grants application open in the very near future and have the application period run until the end of the year, then the individuals who would receive those funds, it could be, since we're talking about having more funding for those community arts grants next year, we could have a larger pool of funds to distribute. which would be sort of dependent on how the timing works out. So if the application period is the next few months, and then at the beginning of 2023 is when we are awarding those grants, that amount could be dependent on how much rolls over.
So it looks to me like we're talking in an ideal situation about having about $65,000 that would be available for community arts grants. So then that would also impact the amount. We might want to look at the amount that was to be awarded, because right now we're talking about a range between $5,000 or between $500 and $5,000. If we have $65,000 available, we might want to raise the ante on that a little bit.
Deena B. Smith, yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I feel like there's no reason we couldn't make it 10 or 15, just to cover our bases and make sure that we'll be able to assign the amount we have. So, if since the application guidelines are going to be posted tomorrow, I think we could vote now to change that amount from 5,000 to
15.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
The 500 to.
Or
15,000.
The max, the maximum. Yeah.
All right.
And that would be something that we would want to vote on here. But I feel like we could maybe talk things through a little bit. Just make sure we cover all bases before actually signing off on that change.
Well, we're not saying that would be awarded. We're saying it's a
true
possibility.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. As always, I will entertain a motion if somebody wants to throw it out there for us to amend that maximum amount.
Do you want to go through any other changes before we do that? Is there anything else in there that was up for question?
Can I ask a background question? This is Tim. So when we had the original range, what was it, 500 to 5,000? Did we see applications span that range? Okay.
No, most of them are at the high end.
Well, and that
there are very few for
What? There were a few small ones.
yeah, but more like 1,000.
Yeah, that's
okay, because in the TGT world, it was always the maximum. And so it just kind of made me wonder if maybe we ought to just think about reducing the I realize we don't have to award it, but then suddenly everybody's shooting for that. And
but you have to match it, and you have to provide a budget that is
perfect,
that is applicable there. So a lot of the projects that come in are smaller projects that, the entire project would be like $5,000.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thanks. That's good.
I mean,
just didn't have the background.
Right. I mean,
yeah, I agree. And the one thing I always notice is they usually get a percentage. So like the way those grants are usually awarded, somebody gets the top few get 100, then there's 80. So then it drifts down.
Okay, perfect. Great.
And I feel like the maximum amount that people would apply for, like I feel like it evened out. Like people would apply for 30 and we have 30 to give away. So I feel like opening this up to a little bit larger, it gets more ambitious projects more.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that idea.
It's a great idea.
Our organization is doing 15,000 this year. It would be cool to see.
Thank you.
And I haven't included this in our notes that Daniel and I are doing tonight, but depending on what we approve here, a press release will go out as well from our office about these programs as they're being published tomorrow. Yeah.
We can send that our way. We can share it.
Absolutely.
So we're talking about sending out the press release tonight. Then what's the deadline? Have we decided what the deadline is going to be?
That's some of the stuff that we need to nail down tonight. So if we want to push things up, if we want to open applications, if I'm publishing this tomorrow, there's nothing that says we can't open tomorrow. That will require, some work on my part with Porter to figure out how that happens. It's on the website. And that's on me. That's
give yourself till next week.
You said immediate. I mean, yeah. I want to give as much time as we can. I guess I'll say as soon as it's possible. I'll get it rolling and I'll I'll let you know
Yeah.
when it's live.
But if we have a greater time period, so if we open applications, even Monday the 17th,
Mhm.
and then the deadline was like, what, end of November?
Well, I don't know, maybe even go early December. Give
December.
people
December.
Thanksgiving. to
Yeah.
figure
Okay.
out.
Yeah.
So December,
17th, give them 2
Mhm.
months.
That gives us time to push some marketing.
but
as well.
then you're going to, if you say December 17th, that's coming up to Christmas, then we need to give this body time to review those.
Mhm.
So if they come in the 17th, no way is anybody going to look at them until after New Year's.
So are you saying this is?
So, I mean, that's
Are you-
fine with me, the 17th, but then realistically, we're not going to be looking at until January.
So this is Deena Amont. So Mary, are you saying that maybe we should extend the deadline until a reasonable time before our next meeting? Because I agree with you, we're not going to look at them until our January meeting,
Right.
probably. So
So
we
I
could
think that's
probably give
fine.
people a little bit more time, even though it is the holidays, but
I'd say the
Mhm.
17th. Nobody's going to be doing them the week of Christmas. So I agree with Tim on that.
Deena Smith, yeah, I think December 17th sounds good, especially since in January we will be having our retreat. And I think it would be nice if the Community Arts Grants Subcommittee could meet or look over this prior to our retreat in January.
Mhm. Okay, beautiful.
That comes before the entire group. I think everybody votes on those. Because it's that hugely complicated scoring matrix.
Yes, Deena Smith, yeah, I do recall. So should we look at and this is later in the agenda, but should we look at the specific dates of our next few meetings and then try and make sure that these dates for applications opening and submissions match up well with when we're actually meeting?
Sure. Let me pull that up.
What?
I can read them here, but I will also just project it on the screen since I have my handy dandy agenda.
So the regular meeting would be the 11th.
All right. So we have the 14th is our December meeting and the 9th is November. And we're hoping to pick a date for this January retreat tonight if possible.
Excuse me.
And that we have later in the agenda, but I mean, there's nothing stopping us from doing it now if we're scheduling things out. Whatever works.
Like it's like the 10th or 11th or that mid.
It's like the second or third weekend, whatever works best for people.
Deena Smith, so looking at these dates, the December 17th date had been thrown around. Looking at the fact that we're meeting on December 14th, do we want to maybe just push that up a little? No.
I like 14th,
What? As
January 14th.
the deadline?
For the
Oh,
January.
he's talking about,
Oh, sorry.
You mean
Okay.
January.
I'm sorry, he was talking about the December 14th as the deadline, and I said no.
Yeah, Deena Smith, yeah, I was wondering if we wanted the deadline to be before our December meeting, or whether that was,
No, because,
Well, we wouldn't look at them.
yeah.
It would be too fast. We wouldn't look
Yeah.
at the
I mean,
applications yet. I would say we wouldn't look at them till January.
So the 14th is that a Saturday of January or is that a Sunday?
Saturday.
that's a Saturday.
Sunday, if that's better. I think we usually do them on Sunday. It's pretty open.
That's a 3-day weekend though, because Martin
Yeah.
Luther King Day is the 16th.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's awkward.
We can always pick something ballpark, if we want to suggest the 15th, then we can revisit this at our November meeting and our December meeting, to just touch base with people as holiday plans are getting spread up. And
So are we canceling the regular meeting on the 11th of January?
Usually do.
Yeah.
That's what I'm just confirming.
I know.
Oh, yeah, this is all of these. This is helpful for me.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
We would
So-
not have the regular monthly meeting in January.
Right.
And do the retreat instead.
Yeah, that is correct.
So if we want to stick with Sunday, do we prefer the 8th or the 22nd?
Oh, you don't want to do the 8th.
It's too awkward.
Deena B. Smith, I feel like, I think the 8th sounds fine, but we can also, as Abby mentioned, we can come back to exact timing over the next couple meetings.
All right. Why don't we pencil in the 8th?
Sounds good.
Deena B. Smith, so having looked at the upcoming meetings, I'm wondering if anybody has any strong feelings about the potential October 17th to December 17th window for applications. Yeah, I mean, I think it seems good.
Hi, Denise, I have a question. Did we finalize the date for our January retreat, or are we just waiting to do that?
We had put the idea of January 8th
Okay.
out there. We're going to touch base again on in the November meeting and potentially in the December meeting. But we'll get that nailed down and then find a location. I don't think we need to nail down that until next meeting.
Yeah, I feel like since we're in the program sort of section of the agenda, it'll be nice to make sure we have all those things really solid before the end of the meeting. And if we need to come back and touch base about the specifics of the January retreat date, I think it's fine to do that at the end or table it to future meetings. So at this time, in the interest of time, I'm curious. I think raising the maximum for the community arts grants for next year makes a lot of sense. I think knowing that the guidance and a press release is going out tomorrow is really, really nice. And I think the fact that we're looking at a potential October 17th to December 17th window for those applicants seems to be something we're all agreeable about. Is there anything else that we feel like we need to nail down about those at this point, or is that our game plan that we can move forward on?
This is Mary. That sounds good to me. For Abby's sake and the press release, we might want to say that something to the effect that decisions will be made or award decisions will be made in late January, so that people don't expect them immediately after the day after they.
Smart. Thank you.
Do we get all those applications at once for review, or can they, once they're vetted?
We get them all at once, which is better to review them all at one time.
Okay.
Rather than the trickle down.
I can give updates as they're coming in, if that would be helpful.
Yeah, they'll all come in the 16th.
Okay.
11th.
Sure.
Deena B. Smith. So I feel like if we are all agreeable on these things, we could go ahead and vote to make that law of the land. And then I also think one last thing I think we should consider in terms of community arts grants, circling back to the subcommittees, is whether or not the members of that subcommittee, of which I am one, want to try and figure out, now that we know that this is the schedule for how the application process is going to go, where in there do we feel like would be best for the subcommittee to try and meet up?
What would the subcommittee be doing?
It's a great question.
I mean, sure, absolutely. Marketing.
Oh, that's true. That's true. I think in the past we've done like a public how to fill out the grant thing. So yeah, that might be good.
Great. Yeah, that is something we discussed at the at the retreat. So with that in mind, then maybe considering the application window is 10/17 to 12/17, maybe somewhere in November we could try and meet up and have it be something where we could give feedback on applicants.
I would suggest really early in either late October, early November. so that people who have not been through this process before kind of understand what it's all about and how they should go about putting a project together.
You're talking about the open house and you were talking about the meeting, right?
Deena Smith, I feel like the open house and the subcommittee meeting can basically be the same thing.
I think it might be cool for the subcommittee to meet outside of the open house to talk about like how to get the word out to people and, you know, just some interesting ways to bring in new groups or communication wise. And then that can, I would say, the open house afterwards.
Deena Smith, I'm more than happy to do that. So where you think the subcommittee should maybe meet, you know, around the time? I mean, obviously it's next Monday is when the application opens, but sometime in the next couple weeks then? Okay.
Maybe do the open house early November.
Those sound good to me. And I think that in the interest of time for this meeting, just getting a ballpark idea on when those can happen is good. And that the members of that subcommittee, who is Tim, myself, Jill, and Marlo, I think we can then figure out this more specific timing. But I think that those are both those, the open house and the publicity angle make a lot of sense. And I think we can try and hammer out the specifics of those at a different time. So at this point, I would entertain, wow, I'm really tired. I will entertain a motion to I think we should just vote to approve the $15,000 maximum and also the application timeframe of 10/17 to 12/17 for the community arts grants.
Second.
All right, thank you, Marlo and Mary. And I will do a roll call. I think we still have enough people to do this, but starting with Marlo, and then Denise.
Approve.
And then Mary?
Approve.
And then Deena fled the room. Okay. Do you actually know? Hopefully she'll be right back.
She just went to the restroom. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Marciana?
Approve.
Tim?
Approve.
And I will also approve. And
6
that is
4.
that is 6. Yeah. I might ask Deena later how she feels about it. Okay, great. So that is concrete, actionable steps that we're taking to move forward with the community arts grants. I know that's been something with a long time coming. And I personally look forward to meeting up with the other members sometime in the next couple of weeks to discuss publicity and then late October, early November for an open house.
In that press release, Abby, I'm just thinking to mention that, you know, to say we're back and yes, talk about the increase. Can we mention the increased funding that we have? Are we confident that we'll have a rollover? Make this
I wouldn't say that yet.
5.
I would probably not say it yet, although we have confidence.
Okay.
We can you'll figure that out tomorrow, though. Then we'll figure it out real quick.
Yeah, you'll hear from me.
Okay.
All right, great. So in the interest of time, let's try and get through last two of these agenda items a little bit faster. Outdoor sculpture exhibition. Can we look at the timeline for that? And I know that all three of these program areas have actionable steps that we want to be taking in this final quarter of 2022.
Yeah, sorry. This thing is stretched. Okay.
Yeah.
What are the proposed dates?
So I'm actually going to scroll down here to our document. This actually doesn't have dates on it. My apologies. I'm a little tired as well. Fabricate. Okay, so he kind of has general dates on here. December was presenting the updated call to artists. We wanted to scooch everything back, so presenting that call to artists could go out. And I've proposed again tomorrow because we stress
busy day.
we stress. I'm 29 now. we stressed immediacy on some of this stuff, really wanting to hammer this out and present everything as, hey, we're back and we're active and you can get involved in these ways. So we can determine what date we want to open or to publish that call to artists and open that application process accordingly. That could be Monday as well.
I love the convergence. I think it makes it easy to communicate.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
we have art culture grants, we have a sculpture exhibition open, come to us, we got means.
And I can do a press release tomorrow, and then when we open all of these applications, I can link to. I'm just verbally thinking through this, so bear with me. I kind of like the idea of syncing up the press release with the actual opening, because then I can link to the pages, but I need to update a few things on those pages. Yes, and it is quite a bit to get done tomorrow.
I think
Yeah. Okay, so along with that, on this sheet here with the criteria, isn't our grant from the state over the art culture crossings?
Yeah.
So all of this would be taken out. That wouldn't be applicable at all.
Okay. This all the way down to the bottom of the page? Or just?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I liked about that, and I wonder if we could use some of that. I love that it opened it up to some interesting exhibitions. Porter talked about that quite a bit too, where breaking down the boundaries of what's considered outdoor public sculpture. Could it be a performance? Could it be something? Do we want to
We
open
have
it
to
up a little bit?
rearrange everything, because then you're not talking. I mean, the way it's set up right now, we've got jurors, it has to be up for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
All of that would have to be reworked. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying.
Didn't we have it open one time with the John Brown exhibit?
I think we
There was
did.
some language. Could we pull? I feel like it was the last year of the pandemic. We opened it up, and so to temporary video projection or performance limits. So there was the wording about the sculptures, and then there was wording we're also opening. We're open to these ideas too. But it was the John Brown exhibit.
Okay.
We made it tied to that, but it doesn't have to be. Obviously, that's what we're
It would still have to be
It would still have to be read.
But I think this is Deena Amont. I think what Marlo was saying is that wording has already been drafted, so you wouldn't have to start from scratch.
Yeah, if it's there, that'd be great.
And this is Deena again. I think that would be a really great thing to do too, to open it up to more than just the traditional outdoor sculpture, to do kind of interactive performance and things like that. So I like that idea if we can get that done.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it exists, I'll have it. Either Porter has it and hasn't given that to me yet. He's given me a lot of stuff, but some of those specific things I'm sure still exist and I can get to him. I'm thinking more of a Monday deadline for some of this stuff. I just want you to know I'm trying to be as responsive as I can. And
we can help too. If you're oh, what was that word? I can dig through my stuff and send something to you too.
Because this is all pretty cut and dried with the loan agreement and all that.
Specific to sculpture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
once I find that language, I can make sure it reflects throughout. And I can also send this to, if you guys would like to look over it again before it goes live. Seems totally doable to me. I can send it to you all.
Deena Lee Smith. So it sounds like we're talking about potentially syncing up the opening of that for applications, this and the community arts grants, which I agree is a good idea because it really makes it one big splash instead of a couple different ones. But I do think that we should look at the calendar, and some of the community arts grants, which need to be spent within the calendar year for those organizations. The outdoor sculpture exhibition has a more specific debut date. I don't think that the schedules for the two are going to match up completely. So I'm curious, if we're going to have the applications open really soon, which I think is great, maybe looking to try and figure out when those would close and how that correlates to then the actual debut event, which I assume we would want to have this year.
Well, you couldn't have it this year. It'd have to be.
Oh, Yeah, sorry. By this year, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
the new year. Yeah.
So this calendar is saying it opens in May and June. And in May, photos and brochure prep, we can decide when we want this to actually happen, if we want to push the actual date back, or if we want to have it to be early summer, May, June. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So potentially this might still be a viable calendar, except we're opening earlier. December or now would be present call to artists. And he says at the December meeting for review and approval, we can do that at the November meeting if we want to, or we can, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. Opening call to artists now. He says January receive applications and have the Public Art Committee conduct their review and prioritize proposed projects for review.
In February.
In February. Does that seem doable?
So I love it. I love that opening at the end of May. So it's the beginning of summer. We have that walking tour. It's kind of in people's minds, and opening it a little bit early is great for marketing.
Yeah.
So I think what threw things off in that weird 2021 pandemic year, it opened at a weird time. Like it was condensed, and that's why we only had 3 applications. I think there were 3 weeks that it was open, so nobody knew about it. So I think having 3 months to strategize and market and get it out to all the familiar people, I think new people would be amazing.
Okay. I can also make sure those dates are reflected in the call to artists. Yeah.
So this is Deena, Amont. So if we are going to receive applications online and review the applications in January, just throwing this out there, should we still hold to that December 17th deadline to receive them? Because that seems like kind of a long time to just hold on to them, basically a whole month. Does that still make sense, or should we?
Since it's the holidays.
You think so?
Yes.
Okay.
Tammy Smith, yeah.
I mean, realistically,
Okay.
everything grinds to a halt.
In my mind, so if we're talking about having this December 17th date match up for both of them, which again, it's nice to have things be synchronized. My question then is, knowing that we're going to be meeting potentially January 8th, does that mean, when does that suggest that the Outdoor Sculpture Exhibition Public Art Subcommittee would want to meet? Would they want to meet before that January 8th date? And if so, that would mean they would basically have December 17th to January 8th to look over those.
So it depends on the subcommittee members, right?
Yeah.
I can pull those up as well.
I can just read them off. So the Outdoor Sculpture Exhibition Public Art Subcommittee is myself, Marciana, Tim, and Denise. I will say that despite the holiday cheer, I will be available.
Too.
I won't be available the first week of January.
Mm-hmm.
To the 7th, but I suppose
Maybe sometime in late December. And those subcommittee meetings can be shorter than this meeting for sure. They can be shorter, and they can also be on Zoom, and which makes it a little bit easier.
Hi, this is Denise. I don't know if I can commit to December because I have some travel plans, and actually they're very tentative at this point, but I need to say that up front.
Tammy Smith. So it seems like there might be a little bit of challenge as far as scheduling the subcommittee meeting, but as I mentioned earlier, subcommittee meetings, we can work out some of the details there. I'm just wondering if anybody thinks that trying to get a meeting in somewhere in that range would be too onerous for us to just go ahead and say that the December 17th date also works to have the applications closed for the Outdoor Sculpture Exhibition, or maybe that would be fine as well.
Do you guys feel comfortable?
That's awful fast, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is fast. I mean, and looking through this last calendar, I'm glad that we're pushing things up. Yeah.
Deena B. Smith, I'm personally, even though the synchronicity seems great, I'm also I would be open to not having them perfectly synchronized. If we did want to have potentially we could have the applications open on the same date, but maybe the outdoor sculpture exhibition submissions wouldn't close until maybe January. That would also potentially allow Cultural Arts Commission members a little bit more flexibility, especially those of us who are on multiple subcommittees, just to spread things out a little bit. So I'm curious if anybody has any thoughts.
Good with that too.
Or if we moved our retreat to the 22nd, that would give us a bigger window.
January 22nd or December? January. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you could accomplish both goals. You could leave the applications open to the end of the year. And if we move the retreat to the 22nd, we could still meet before the 22nd easily enough to consider them.
Deena B. Smith, that sounds good to me. Does anybody have any other concerns just in general about having the outdoor sculpture exhibitions applications and the community arts grant applications be simultaneous? Is it like making our calendar too lopsided, or no? Everyone seems pretty good. Okay, it's getting late. So So what I'm hearing is that people like the idea of having the same application window for the outdoor sculpture exhibition, which would be October 17th to December 17th. And then the subcommittee would try and meet at some point between December 17th and potentially January 22nd, which would be our slightly later retreat date. So in the interest of time, which I've said many times so far, I think it would be really great for us to actually do a roll call vote specifically on trying to amend the language so that it is more accepting of non-physical sculptural displays, things like performances, and just a wider array, and possibly taking some language that was used for that John Brown performance and so going with the application window of 10/17 to 12/17. How do we feel about that?
I feel you're opening something that's going to need a lot of finesse. The John Brown play, are you talking about the one at the theater? Or are you talking about
exhibition? So that year we opened up the sculptural art exhibition to also some opportunities. If somebody wants to do an ephemeral art that fit into that.
Okay, so that was an exhibit though, still.
Yeah, and it was just part of the exhibit.
But I guess my concern is and I'm all in favor of putting money into performance art, you know that. I'm just saying that I think a lot of the language that's already in here will have to be changed. And can we do that fast enough to get this out in the next week?
I think if we look at that call and if it can be modified easily enough, I think it was like, here's the sculptural exhibition, and these are the requirements about loaning art and all those logistics. And then there was like a little paragraph. This year we are also accepting ephemeral art. And
So would you anticipate, because I think in the budget for the sculpture exhibit, there's also a fee for jurors. So would you anticipate that the same jurors that would be judging the sculpture would also be judging?
Good question.
So that's why I'm.
Right. Yeah.
Does that have to be resolved before the call?
Maybe not. I don't know that as a, person who does video projection, I would ever expect a juror, to communicate my work in the ephemeral sense. Maybe it is doing for sculpture. Those jurors, it seems odd to compare video projection to. So I don't know.
Right. But if we're going to judge the one, how or what criteria we're going to use for the others.
Yeah. maybe they don't use it, you know, like they're, I don't think we had one, like when we do that. I guess we have to look at that call for that genre
Yeah.
and how that was.
Okay.
worded.
Yeah.
It's your job.
Yes, I'll hunt it down, and I can pull a lot of language from that, and I'll reach out to you guys with the answers to some of these questions.
Yeah, so is this something we're going to want to get sorted out before the 17th then? And we feel confident that we'll be able to get a consensus on the new language and move forward with the opening on the 17th.
Can we do that via email? Is something we have to meet to do, or is something that can be corresponded?
My understanding of the rules, which is very loose, is that we could agree to go forward with this course of action and have that specific language shared from Abby to the rest of us, and make an allowance essentially that if anybody looks at the final language and says like this is a no-go, at that point that would necessitate bringing it up. We would have to push things back and we'd talk about it further. But that if everybody looked at it and was fine, it would just go forward. Which is a loose description of emotion that could be made. So I'm not sure if anybody has anything else they want to discuss around this specific, and if not, I would entertain a motion to go forward with amending the language to allow for more ephemeral exhibitions and things like that to be in the outdoor sculpture exhibition. Contingent on the fact that we would all look at that language and not object, and that also that application window would be simultaneous to the application window for the community arts grants, which would be 10/17 to December 17th.
This is Tim. So moved.
All right, great. Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
This is Deena Amont, second.
All right, great. And I will do a roll call, starting with Marlo. And then Denise.
You're muted, but we saw you.
Yes.
And then Mary.
Yes.
And then Deena.
Approved.
Marciana.
Approved.
Tim.
Approved.
And myself, I shall also approve. Another set of actionable steps to move forward. We have one more program area, which is the Phoenix Awards. Next on the agenda. I don't know if we're going to have, I guess, yeah, I will go ahead and just start off things in the interest of time, saying that we had talked about making all of these simultaneous, the retreat that was floated. I don't know if there's anything we need to amend as far as the way the Phoenix Awards are done. I know that we're going to be looking for an artist in this next, the first leg of the cycle.
Okay, let me give you some dates.
Yeah, go ahead.
This
Yeah,
is the area that I know something.
there you go. Go for it.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. If we have to spend this money this year, the first half of it, I would propose issuing a call for artists now and having the deadline be December the 2nd with a review by the commission at the December 14th meeting and having the artwork due by February the 28th.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Deena Smith, that sounds fantastic to me.
Okay. Now, I got a couple. We have to get on the same page here. We have done this 23 times. So we can't be saying that this is going to be the 25th anniversary on one page and the 28th anniversary on another page. And
that was math done by me incorrectly. So
well, it's because we're going to a 2-year thing. So actually, I think it would be the 24th.
Okay. Yep. Great.
Okay. And then the somewhere in here it says that the fee for the artists, I can't see where it is right now, but somewhere it says $1,800 and it really should be $3,000.
So under budget and commission, all inclusive Phoenix Award art project budget is 3,000.
Yes. For the artist and the arts pieces.
Mhm.
Denise and I had an opportunity to visit a little bit about this because she had some questions about what was happening and about some of the verbiage,
Mhm.
Particularly the letter of interest.
Mhm.
So I don't know if we want to go forward and throw this out right now. Otherwise, I would suggest we have a committee meeting maybe next week. I mean, I'm fine with if we just use those dates. You know, I don't know if anybody, you're on the committee.
I think it's ambitious, but I think
What?
that the dates are a little ambitious, but
Well, it depends on when we have to have the money.
yeah.
If we
I
have to
agree.
spend
We
the
have
money
to
this
spend the
year,
money this
that's
year.
pushing it as far as we could push it,
I
right?
Yeah.
agree.
So that'll be part of my question for finances. If we roll over, what does that mean for the immediacy of having to spend it?
Right. I was going under the assumption that at least if we had the artists chosen by this group by December, it
Mhm.
might be possible to get a contract, in which case the monies would be, what's the word I'm looking for?
Spent.
Yeah,
Allocated?
Yeah.
Allocated
Right.
or
the commitment. Yeah.
committed. or-
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that
So
seems
that's-
logical. Absolutely. I can double check on that.
That's why I'm
Yeah.
suggesting these dates, and I'm open for anything else.
That because then it frees up, we've got community arts grants to look at and all this other business happening. So if we can do this in December.
Mhm.
hey,
Yeah.
December, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
let's do it.
and I would also say that one of the biggest challenges that this committee has had the last few years is to find artists to do this, and particularly artists who can do something that is sustainable, so that the actual award is something that will last
Right.
over a period of time rather than disintegrate.
Right.
Because some of them have been a little fragile. And I would encourage something that would be a little more suitable for display.
Does it say that in the guidelines? Sustainable.
Hi, this is Denise. It doesn't say it in any of the documents that we have.
In addition.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jamie Smith. Yeah, so we have an amendment to the guidelines for the past two program areas. So it feels pretty appropriate that we'd have one here as well. I'm curious if there's anything else about the guidelines or the call for artist process that people feel like needs to be adjusted before we move forward.
Yeah, that's where the budget thing is. Wait.
That language, that's the thing.
Sorry,
We'll draft that language. Is that something you want to
what line?
about longevity of the piece that we're making in addition? I just wanted to all
Right,
If
right.
that's something I asked Porter about, because I was trying to get the fountain running on the artwork over at the mental health facility, Bert Nash, got running. And so when I had the discussion with Porter, because it's rusting apart, what is the life expectancy of a sculpture? And his words were it's 15 to 20 years. And I'd never thought about what is the life expectancy of that. And so going back and forth with the artist, and I need to follow up with the metallurgist to see if there's something we can do to prolong its life. That's a great point. And then at the end, I'd like to present a little bit on aesthetics and bridges. And if you do art over a bridge and the lifespan of a bridge is 70 years, what should be the lifespan? If you do a major art project over that, what should be its life expectancy? Is it every 15, 20 years you're having to do a major remodel, or would you bid it out separately?
I can get in touch with Porter and ask for what kinds of mediums he would suggest. What kinds of, not mediums, but materials.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two examples in my office. So the first, and they're both beautiful pieces. The first piece was by Ron Hinton, and it's a brass sculpture on a plaque. And that was from 23 years ago. And then we have another one that's like a shadow box with a cut paper piece that's coming out of it that is from 2013 or 2014, and it's getting ragged. So I think anything that it could be any medium, but if it is a medium like cut paper or something a little more fragile, it needs to be put in an enclosure that would ensure that it was that it would.
So maybe the right language is using life expectancy rather than restricting what kinds of mediums.
I don't know.
What is
I agree with that.
end of life? What is the expectation? An artist is going to say that art is supposed to be gifted forever and ever. And from the city's point of view, it's time for us to revisit another art project.
Yeah.
So that's the struggle I've been running into.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
thanks, Porter. I'm learning.
Okay.
Good for a question.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Denise. I think this is all really good, great ideas and comments. I think it's going to be hard to predict how long a work is going to last. However, I think it should be mentioned in the call for artists. So, and I don't know, I think this is a tough one because the durability of an artist, it's hard to know. I mean, and I don't think we could legitimately exclude certain mediums. I don't know if we can or not. That's a question for Porter.
No, I don't think we need to exclude them. I think we just need to ensure that they are presented in such a way that they will exhibit some stability.
I wonder in the applications, I've done applications for art before, and they will say, can you talk about this aspect of your art? Can we talk about the longevity of the piece?
Yeah.
Just hear the art statement on that.
Right. It's opening up this category that we can then
Evaluate.
Yeah, Deena B. Smith. Yeah, with the recent new transit center, all of the artists who applied for that, the durability of the artwork was something that was considered, and so I think having it added to the application just a question in there about durability, and then it's something that can be scrutinized when looking at the applications, and then potentially something that people can be encouraged to maybe explore if we feel like the application is not accounting for longevity as a priority.
Hi, this is Denise. I agree with Daniel. I think the word durability is important in this instance.
This is Deena Amont, and I don't think this has to be too complicated, like one or two sentences that addresses that, I think would totally cover it.
Deena B. Smith, Marlo, you had asked the question of who was going to author those one or two sentences. I feel like you're kind of pressuring Mary to do it, but does anybody actually want to? Does anybody want to volunteer to author those one or two sentences that's to be added to the application guidelines, encouraging people to prioritize durability, and then
I'll do it.
Okay, great, thank you, Mary. And then similar to the last agenda item, I think that we currently have an amendment to the guidelines, and we also have a proposed timeline, including the a potential range for a subcommittee meeting. I know that the subcommittee meeting, it was thrown out that could be sometime even just in the next few weeks. I want to let subcommittee members who does not include me, Mary, Denise, Deena, and Angell. I want to, if anybody has strong doubt that they would be able to potentially meet in the next few weeks.
We'll put some together
now. Okay, so at this point, hearing that, I will entertain a motion to potentially approve this proposed schedule, and also the slight amendment of the guidelines contingent on it being emailed to us and us not having great alarm about the one or two sentences. I have confidence your sentences will be amazing. So
send them to Abby and she can do what she wants with them.
Sounds good.
This is Tim. I'll make that motion.
All right, great. Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
Hi, this is Denise. I second.
Thank you, Denise. We will go through the roll call. Marlo. Denise.
Yes, I approve.
Mary.
Yes.
Deena.
Approve.
Marciana.
Approved.
Tim.
Approved.
And I shall also approve. Which is the end of our new business agenda. That is actually the end. We have some old business, some of which we've already covered. The first item in old business is setting a date for the January retreat. It sounds like January 22nd is potentially going to work best. We're not gonna nail that down right now. But I think we can all maybe move forward thinking 22nd, and then we'll confirm that at a future meeting. We actually managed to. We were going to discuss it now, but we talked about it quite a bit earlier. So I don't know if anybody has any other thoughts, but if so, as always, tell me to stop talking and I will do so. The other old business we have is discussing the open house educational session, which we also talked about. And then an update on the mural proposal, which we received previously. It was the one we rejected. Abby, I don't know if you want to talk about it, but I know that Porter spoke with artists and they seemed fine with the result, and they're not necessarily going to move forward with resubmitting in the short term. Do you have anything else you want to add?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that he gave the examples of previous applications that are also the ones listed on our website. So if you're curious as to what she has seen, I can send you that link. They're already public. And yeah, he mentioned to me that she seemed okay with the outcome, that she doesn't have plans to resubmit at this point, but he encouraged her to do so. And that's all that we know at this point. Yeah.
Deena Smith, I know that people were heartened by the content of that proposal and wanted to make sure that the individual received our feedback in a positive way. We have opportunity for committee updates, which seems a little bit unnecessary considering we talked about committees a ton. I do want to throw this out there, which is a nice segue into miscellaneous, because it's kind of miscellaneous, that I think that, as Denise mentioned earlier, she represents us on the TGT subcommittee, whatever the formal name for that is. And then in the future, Denise, if you ever have any updates on the goings on of that body, we would love to hear them, including right now, if you have anything to say, but no pressure.
Yes, and actually, I'm not prepared to do that. But we did have a meeting, and we looked at the schedule, the timeline for going through all of the applications, and I don't have the dates in front of me, and I will next time, or I can send out an email to Abby and let her know.
This is Mary. Are those applications open yet?
That's a good question. I can't say that right now. I'll have to look at my notes. I didn't look at my notes before this meeting.
Deena Smith, yeah, I just sprung this on you last minute, but I do think in the future we'll just have we'll have a bullet point on the agenda from now on. Just and if you want to send some of that information over to Abby and to share out to the rest of us, I feel like that should.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, Denise, if you could send the timeline on that, when it opens, when they're due, that would be very helpful.
Hi, this is Denise again. Sure, I will.
Great, thank you, Denise. And as I mentioned, that segues us into our miscellaneous category. I realize it's late, but this is the section where we talk about whatever we want, and most specifically, give any updates on any community art or cultural things that you're involved with, anything you've attended, anything you're going to attend in the next month that you want to give a plug for. I saw Deena over at a Van Gogh event, which was very fun. If everyone's too tired to talk about community stuff, that's also fine.
This is Deena Amont. We should probably just do a reminder for the October 21st opening at the police station. So I plan to attend that.
Me too.
I can send a reminder.
I would attend, but we have a wonderful film showing at the Art Center that day.
So many good things.
Ooh,
It's
I love Harold and Maude.
one of my favorites.
This is Mary. I just want to say we just closed a couple weekends of 7 performances of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which was a musical about 3 drag queens traveling across Australia. And it was all set to 80s music. And the response from the community was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We did not get a single written complaint on that show, which has got to be a record for any show.
Oh, you will now. Somebody.
But it was really a joyous celebration and brought people into the arts who had not been there before, and was really a very special event for everyone.
Great
It
show.
was beautiful. It was exactly what my soul needed that night. It was just one of the best theater experiences I've had in a long time.
Are you still looking to get rid of the bus?
Yes. I have a bus for sale.
If you give me the dimensions, I'll look into it.
16 by 4.
Okay. I'll measure I have a spot on my roof. I think it'll look great.
Turn into an accessory dwelling unit in your bedroom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tiny house.
Art exhibition. Daniel has.
And did you want to throw something
I
up there?
We have something. I didn't know if Abby mentioned it to you. August 20th from 3 to 5. We're looking for input on gateways and Lawrence. KDOT has been working with the chamber and some other groups. And so now the next step is to engage the unmistakable identity community with KDOT, Public Works, to get the feedback on what should the aesthetics of the gateways be. So what they're looking at is 59 or Iowa and the SLT, the bridges. So other communities have could be a city logo, could be landscaping, there'll be pedestrian bike paths underneath. Is it maybe rotational art pieces every 2 or 3 years with pads, or is it a major art structure like you see at some communities as a gateway? So there's an opportunity to get federal matching dollars with this. So if the city put in, say, $200,000 on a rework of a major intersection, could we get leverage $1 million of something? So what we're trying to do, from what I can gather, is we're trying to get what is the community's input. And that's where unmistakable identity and what's Lawrence, the Arts Commission, along with the Parks and Rec and everybody else that goes, you're more than welcome to come. It's August 20th.
October.
Yes, I'm sorry. I keep saying August. That's behind me. I took a vacation. It's October 20th, Thursday, Sports Pavilion Lawrence in the Legacy Room from 3 to 5 p.m. The Legacy Room. So if you go on Sports Pavilion, if you want to.
Oh, the Sports Pavilion. Okay.
And so we'll have a presentation by KDOT. We'll have some of the public engineers, but they're looking for feedback. And then what I'd like to do is take that feedback. I'm doing an unmistakable identity presentation November 15th, and bring that to the commission so we can start to bring what should the gateways of Lawrence look like? What should the aesthetics? What is landscaping? What is the maintenance? So what gateways are we looking at? I've heard a few mentioned. 6th Street and SLT is one of them. We're going to have a major rework at 27th and SLT down by the youth sports complex. That's going to have a pedestrian bridge going over. A lot of possibilities for art. May have another pocket park developed out of that.
Did you say 3 o'clock?
3 p.m. Yes, and I don't think it's going to take 2 hours. It depends on how long KDOT presents. I do have. I didn't email out the presentation, but I have some different pictures if you want to look through it of what they've got and designs. And I'm sure they'll do a lot of the same presentations. Say about that. Oh, I do need to know if you're planning on going, let Abby know, because if, say, the Arts Commission and you got a quorum there, then it's a public meeting. Not a problem with that, but we do need to let the public know, which if that happens, I think it also gives another opportunity for me to reach out to the newspapers and say, we've got this going on. You're welcome to attend. Now it's a public meeting.
So
I'll probably go.
Yeah, I think I would too.
It's neat.
I'm gonna be out of town that whole weekend. I'm gonna miss the other art thing too, so. Yeah, I'm gonna miss everything, but I'll be somewhere.
And you know, one of the other gateways I think about, and you've probably listened or read in the paper about moving to the east with Johnson County and the Panasonic and the developer wanting to come in, and you take 23rd Street and K10. I always envisioned going up that hill. Is there something that would be iconic for Lawrence as a welcoming sign? So you go to Manhattan, and you might see Manhattan stones. What would that be? And I'm sure would be an expensive endeavor, no matter
Yes, it would.
what it is.
It'd be nice. That's how I come into town every day. I can send a reminder out as well for those two events.
DLB Smith, that's great. Yeah, I will be RSVPing for that presentation on the 20th.
So do you want to RSVP or do you just want to take it now?
I'm going to do these minutes. So
Okay.
a verbal confirmation is good for now.
So we have a forum, right?
It sounds like a forum, so that's good. We can let the public.
Wonderful.
All right, great. So unless there's any other community art miscellaneous input, we can actually move to adjournment.
Move we adjourn.
I will thank all the staff, all of you for donating your time, listening to me talk. And yes, we just do a simple vocal. I'll get a second for adjourn. Thank you, Mary, for making a motion.
This is Tim, my second.
Thank you, Tim. And then all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Right. Thank you all so much. Yeah, we'll be in touch. I think we got a lot done. It was worth it, even though it was exhausting. So,
Yeah.
All right.
Well done, everyone.
I have a conflict.